So, any further thoughts after watching the film of Memphis game? Any further thoughts that what you had immediately afterward?
Yeah, you always have some different thoughts, after you get back and you watch the film a couple times and you kind of marinate on everything. My feelings in regards to being proud of our football team and the way that we fought. I thought the effort was tremendous. I thought we were physical. The thing that is glaring to you is just what we left on the field. So many opportunities, things we didn't capitalize on, things that we've got to do a better job of. Really, you feel like that's a game that you should have won if you take care of a lot of little things. And we know that we got to play extremely disciplined football around here. To have a chance to win games like that against a talented football team like Memphis, but we certainly had our opportunities, and you kind of feel like you let one slip away a little bit, So I'm told our football team I'm encouraged, I'm optimistic, but frustrated at the same time. So there's things that we got to go to work on and get cleaned up if we're going to win those types of games. And I think we have a football team that can and will. But we've got to get better for sure, and that's going to be the focus going into this bye week.
Can you talk about the quarterback situation a little bit? Because I don't want to use the word quandary, but it's a unique situation. If you could take all the best characteristics of all those guys and put them into one quarterback, you probably have a really good one. But, Ty has pretty good mastery of the offense, and he throws a nice ball. But, we all know he's not a dynamic runner. That's just not his strong suit. So he's not a real threat running the ball. Horvath, obviously, had some nice runs, but he can't seem to hold on to the ball. And then you got Braxton, who's a great athlete, dynamic runner. We've seen that in practice, but we don't know where he is as far as mastery of the offense and whether he can execute it. But, you're kind of in a bit of a pickle, and that's why you're still using multiple guys. I would guess. That's just a thought.
No, I don't think you're far off on that. Ty certainly did some good things Thursday night, and we had a plan to rotate Blake in a little bit earlier than we did, but felt like Ty had a hot hand, and we were doing some good things offensively. Didn't want to disrupt the rhythm, kind of what was going on. And then, Blake hasn't played a lot of snaps, and he's done some really good things for us, and he gives you a little different element athletically, but we got to be able to hold on the football. I thought the one strip down the field was a tough guy, came from behind. You see that happen a lot, even when you're securing the football well. But the other one he's got to be able to hold on the football. He knows that, and something we'll continue to work on. And he's got to grow and develop, just like Braxton does. And you guys have been out to practice and seen him. He's really, really dynamic. But this offense is not easy to run, and it's hard to play as a freshman. And so we got to keep developing those guys. And I think Ty's doing some really good things, but we got to keep bringing Blake along. And certainly haven't lost faith in Blake. He's done some really good things, and he's going to continue to get better. But we've got to have the ability to play both those guys and maybe even a third guy as well. So those guys are that room is a work in progress, and there's some good things and things we got to get better at for sure.
We got other people here who want to ask questions, so I'll yield the floor.
Scott Wyckoff.
Hey, Coach, coming out of Memphis, do you think that's a good barometer, that Memphis team, of how you guys stack up against some of the best that the conference has to offer?
I don't know. I think it's a good question. I think it's really early in the year. I think athletically, that's one of the more athletic teams we'll see in the conference. I think they're playing at a high level right now. I think they're really good offensively of what they do and their personnel. I think the running back's a special player that we're going to hear a lot about throughout the year, and we know who the quarterback is. And defensively, what they did the first two games, I think they're a good football team. And so I think it may be a pretty good barometer. But like I said, it's early in the year. You never really know. But certainly it's one of the more talented teams in our conference. We know that. And I thought we were able to run with them. I thought we physically got after them a little bit at times. And so, again, I was proud of the way that we played and the way we fought, our effort, the physicality piece of things. It's still some execution stuff. It's a lot of little things. We missed too many tackles again. we're going to miss tackles. That's part of the game, but we have to miss them on the correct side. We talk about missed tackles around here, and then we talk about wrong tackles. And a wrong tackle is a missed tackle, away from your leverage. So we give up the edge, the 269-yard runs. If we just miss those tackles on the correct side, we've got pursuit coming. And those 70-yard runs may end up being, 5, 10, 15-yard runs instead. And so those are really daggers for us. And that's the thing that, we can't do. We've got to get cleaned up, and we will. It's the same thing offensively, leveraging blocks, having our head on the correct side of blocks. We're in the right places, but we're not finishing at times, and we've got to get that fixed and corrected. We can't make those kind of mistakes, especially against teams like Memphis.
Every time we've talked to you about Alex Teska, you've talked about what you've seen in him throughout the different practices that you moved through over the course of the last several months. What is it in the games that he is doing that's taking him to, at times, an elite status, as we saw in Memphis?
Yeah, and I've been saying really good things about him all along because he flashes, right? He can run. You saw him outrun the two guys from Memphis. He runs hard. He breaks tackles. He's a good-sized running back. He's versatile. He can catch it out of the backfield. He could play slot, or the T-back position for us. We've got to find a way to get him the ball more. And he's a guy he's good when the ball's not in his hands as well as a blocker and those kind of things. And so he's a really talented player. We've got to find a way to get him more touches on Saturdays, and we will moving forward.
In addition to getting him the touches, is it also important that you give looks that he potentially could get touches with folks now know what he can do to maybe open up some opportunities for his teammates on offense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And when you talk about a player like Alex, do the players see when he emerges like he does and then almost start seeing what it takes, and they've seen him in practice and now get a feeling of what it takes for them?
Yeah, I think it's good to see your teammates have success, and those guys, they know how important the blocks are, and maybe now they know, hey, if we get that block, on the backside cutoff or on the front side, he may spring one for a long run. So, yeah, I think it's good for the confidence of our football team, and when a player plays great, it tends to bring the guys around them up as well, and I certainly hope that's the case.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, Scott.
Pete,
Ron, just to piggyback on that, I mean, basically the only people that knew he was on the team last year were his parents and the equipment staff. What has he done from last year to this year to emerge as such a talented and obviously impactful player for you?
Well, I knew who he was last year, Pete. I saw him on the scout team running around. He was going to be talented, and then obviously it was noticeable during spring football. But he's had a great offseason. He's got to comes to work every day and handles his business the right way. And another one of our guys that have benefited from Coach Chrissy and his staff, what they're doing, in the weight room and getting those guys in shape. And he's put on some weight. He's gotten stronger and faster, and he'll continue to do that.
How disappointing is it for you as a coach to see one of your leaders like Lyrion not be able to finish this final season the way he's obviously capable of? And you alluded to it last week. You still expect him to still be a very active part of this and be a leader on the sidelines. Just kind of summarize, but not having him on the field and not having his ability on the field to help that offensive line.
Yeah, it breaks your heart for the kid. He's a great kid. Obviously, he's a captain for us for a reason, and he's worked his tail off, worked extremely hard, and so it's your heart breaks for him, all that he's put in, not to be able to go out and enjoy and play his senior year. But like I said last week, he's a great kid. He's a great young man. He continues to lead our program, and specifically that offensive line unit. It certainly hurts our football team because he was a starter for us, and that's depth that you lose there, obviously. But he's trying to make an impact in any way that he can, and trying to control the things that he can control, and not worry about the ones that he can't. So I'm very appreciative of him, grateful for him, and the way he's handled the situation and making the most out of it. But yeah, it's tough. It's really tough when that happens to a guy, especially a guy that's a senior that's done all that he has for our program. But really, really proud of the way he's handled it and what he's bringing to the table in his role now.
Do you like having this much time to self-scout early in the season with the choppy, schedule the way it is? And is that a negative in any way in your mind, having the type of gapped time now you've had with these early games?
Yeah. I don't think you should ever have a bye after a Thursday game. 16 days before we play again. I don't like the way that schedule lays out, but there's nothing we can do about it. You got to take advantage of it, which we will. And we've got a lot of things to clean up and get better at. And so the bye week will allow us to do that. A lot of things we need to work on, but you prefer not to have it laid out this way in a perfect world, Pete. To be perfectly honest with you, especially after a loss, you don't want to sit on that thing for 16 days. I think I speak for our players and the rest of our staff. We'd rather be going to play a game this next Saturday instead of having another bye. We've already had one, and so the start of the season has been kind of wacky with the schedule with a week 0 game and a bye after that, and then a quick Thursday game after Saturday, and then another bye. It's different. I've never been a team that had a schedule quite like that, but it is what it is. We'll certainly make the best out of it, and we got work to do, and we'll make it a good thing for us.
Thank you.
Let's go back to Wags.
Coach Ray Lane, he just continues to flash. He's really, really good player. What can you say about him? I thought the interception, we didn't really talk about that after the game. We talked about him chasing down the tailback and forcing them to have to snap the ball again. Mm-hmm. But on that pick, when you look at the replay, it looks like that receiver's got steps on him, and he closes remarkably and makes up ground and just slips right on under. That was like classic baiting almost. Like what can you say about that play, and what can you say about Ray?
Yeah, I think he's playing at a really, really high level. You guys have heard me say this before. He's exceptional talent. You don't see a talent like him come through here too often, and he's got a skill set where he can play anywhere in the country, and he's playing at a really high level right now. I think his effort is off the chart, and you combine that with his ability, then he's going to make a lot of plays for us. And very instinctual player. He's all over the field. You see him making plays on special teams, but playing a really unselfish brand of football right now. I'm really proud of him and his development, and he's going to continue to get better and better. I think the thing that you see is a little different this year is he knows the defense so much better than he has in the past, and that comes with experience. But in the past, Ray knew what he was supposed to do for the most part, but didn't always know what was going on around him. I think he knows what's going on around him. I think you see him taking a leadership role that he didn't necessarily take last year, and it's the same thing as we talked about Alex. Inspiring the guys around him. I think he inspires the guys around him on defense as well to play harder and to fly around. And couldn't be more pleased with the way he's playing right now and the progress that he's made. And I think he's another guy that will just continue to get better and better. And I think he's playing with the confidence right now that he didn't play with last year. And so it's good to see that.
So he's kind of having the type of breakout season that Marshall did last year. You start to wonder how you can use a guy like that as a weapon, but I would imagine it's a tough kind of decision whether you bring him closer to the line of scrimmage and maybe let him blitz a little bit, but then you lose him on the back end where he covers up a lot of mistakes. And I should also have mentioned that one pass breakup he had was pretty special as well. Can you kind of talk about that? You could bring him up to the line of scrimmage a little bit more and let him cut him loose that way. Yeah,
no, it's a great question. It's something we've talked about a lot as a staff. We messed around and played him at striker some, back in the spring, and he's one of our base defense. He's so valuable back there. He's when plays break, you see it all the time. He's an eraser back there, so you can't really afford to play him close to the line of scrimmage. There are times we'll bring him on blitzes when we get into our nickel and dime stuff. He's playing that adjuster spot, which is a guy that we'll walk up on the line of scrimmage and do some different things with. And we certainly have to be able to take advantage of his ability, his playmaking ability, and that's something that we talk about, a lot as a defensive staff. And I think Coach Volker's doing a good job with that, putting him in position to make plays. But you're right, you'd like to have, you'd like to have 3 or 4 of him, but we can't, and we don't. So we got to. I think what we're doing with him right now is what we need to be doing with him. And but yeah, we got to find ways to put him in positions to be successful and do the things that he does well. And I think Coach Volker's doing that.
So there was one play we talk about missed opportunities. Nathan Kent ran a slant route where ball's delivered on time, in stride. If he catches that, he's gone. We know what sprinter speed he has. Yeah. Is that just maddening to see things like that?
Yeah, it's part of the frustrating thing, and that's part of football. You're gonna drop passes and miss guys that are open, but we've got to be able to capitalize on that. We talk about when we do throw the ball, we need to be really efficient, especially with the play action stuff, and had some opportunities there. I think earlier in that game we had our line wide open too on a post, maybe not quite wide open, but he was a step or 2 behind the defender, and you'd like to go put that one on him too. And so we had our opportunities there. Hit a couple as well, which is good to see. And I think Coach Chesnut's doing a great job of taking the shots, keeping people honest, keeping people a little bit looser than they would be otherwise. And we've got to continue to do that. But yeah, we've got to capitalize on those. And I think it goes back to Nathan was out for a while, and there's still a little bit of rust to shake off. And I don't think he'll miss that catch next time. I really don't. But yeah, those are the opportunities that you're talking about that are frustrating. And we know we have to be really efficient, when we throw the football and play action. And so when you have those, it's it is frustrating. I know he was really frustrated with it too, but he'll catch the next one.
Where are you at with a kicker? Evan didn't execute the onside kick the way you wanted. He booted it out of bounds, and then the extra point, the knuckleball barely cleared the upright. You went with Nathan to take that field goal attempt at the end. Is that an open competition here for the next few weeks? Yeah,
I think it has to be. I think I was real impressed with Nathan when he came in and his first college snap, nailed the field goal, and then a really nice kickoff, and so that will be open. We haven't been as consistent, in that regard as I would like to be, and thought he came in and showed up, and so I was impressed with him, and haven't lost faith in Evan, but just like every other position we have, they're always open. We're trying to figure out how to get the best players on the field, and if Nate comes out and wins the job over the next couple of weeks, and then he'll be the guy that we use.
Thanks.
One note on Ray Lane: he's currently leading the country in passes defensed. That's interceptions plus pass breakups divided by games played. He's averaging 2.7 passes defense per game, which is number 1 in the country. Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, with that said about the place kicking game, what's your overall evaluation coming out of 3 games for your special teams?
Yeah, I think special teams has been a positive for us. Outside our kicking being a little bit inconsistent, I think our punt team's been a weapon for us. I think Riley's punted the ball excellent. I think the coverage has been really, really good. Protection's been on point. We've been able to pin people down. I've been able to flip the field a few times when we were backed up, so couldn't be more pleased with that unit. I think kickoff coverage has been on point. I'm really pleased with the job that Coach Brown's doing with our special teams. Our guys playing really hard, and they're bought into what we're doing, but I think that's been a real positive for us.
Live and learn, talking about the bye week. Is there anything that you learned with the first bye week, either positive or negatively, that you guys didn't practice that you're going to be maybe focusing on more or less with this bye week?
Yeah, well, it's always a chance to get ahead a little bit for the next opponent. It's always a chance to get back to the basics and the fundamentals and the things that you need to work on. So we'll have a little more individual fundamental time during the front part of practice this week to continue to get better and focus on the 4 core skills, each position group. We also got to be smart about what we're doing. This is a long season. We've already had a really physical. The first bye we had was a physical week of practice. We'll have one physical day. The other 2 to 3 days to be determined. Won't be quite as physical. We got to make sure we're taking care of our players, and we're a little banged up at some spots. In that regard, the bye is good because you can recover and you guys get some rest and some rehab that they need, during the bye.
Thanks.
You guys, Scott.
Hey,
Coach, it's easy for kids these days to put their name in the portal if they're not, getting an exceptional amount of attention and time early in their career. But for guys like Kamari and Regis Velez, seeing them now making valuable contributions, as seniors and juniors, respectively, thoughts on kids like that sticking it out and, not immediately seeking another opportunity somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I think it says a lot about the Naval Academy and what these kids value and the value of this degree and what this degree will do for their future. I think it says a lot about how much these guys care about each other and love this place. And you talk about those two guys, and you can also talk about a guy like Ray Lane, who's a high-profile player for us that had opportunities to leave back in the spring, a lot of them, and chose to stay. And I think that speaks volumes about not only him, but about our program and how much these kids care about each other, the value they see in this place. And so, yeah, the portal hasn't been a big issue for us. And I think for all those reasons that I mentioned, it's a great thing to see.
We talk about offenses making adjustments all the time based on, the way people try to defend the option. On the other side of the ball, do you see teams now making adjustments to the way you all have defended, because you've defended with a high quality here over the last couple of seasons on a pretty consistent basis?
Yeah, I think, part of the goal of what we do defensively is we want to kind of dictate the way the offense plays a little bit. Some of the pressure stuff, some of the looks that we show, you feel like you kind of limit what the offense can do, and just the constant application of pressure, or at least the illusion of it, to keep people guessing a little bit, keep them on their heels a little bit. I think it's tough for a quarterback, it's tough for an O-line, it's tough for a play caller. And so we'll continue to do that. And I think when we did that, I think we were able to affect Memphis' quarterback Thursday night, and then probably could have brought more pressure than we did, even though some people think we brought a ton. There were times where we wish we'd have probably been a little more aggressive. Just me and Coach Vogel sitting down talking about it a little bit, specifically down the red zone a little bit. But yeah, we'll continue to do that. We talk about it all the time, want to apply it, not feel it. And I think offense is so good at applying pressure to defenses nowadays. We try to flip that script as much as we possibly can, and just make people feel uncomfortable and make them have to make quick decisions. Try to keep them guessing a little bit, and try to limit the type of plays they can call by the looks that we show them.
On the other side, the fact that you really took a step forward offensively this week from a balance and consistency standpoint, what allowed that to happen in your mind, where you guys really look like you took a significant step as we talk about week 1, week 2, and now obviously into that third game? There just seemed to be a real difference in what was happening out there.
Yeah. Well, I think the effort was really, really good. I think you saw Coach Chesnut open the playbook up a little bit more, and it'll continue to grow. Which I think keeps people off balance, obviously. The thing that you see is, the production was pretty good. It could have been a lot better. I think we were at one point in the game, we had 3 straight 3-and-outs, which we know we can't have here. And then we've got to get better in the red zone. We make trips down the red. We've got to get points, preferably touchdowns and not field goals. And if we do that Thursday night, we may win that game by 14 points. And so really pleased with the improvement. I really like what we're doing, but we've got to be better finishers. We're better on third down, obviously, but we've got to be better in the red zone. We have to finish drives. And so that's certainly a lot to work on, a lot to be encouraged about too, Pete, but a lot that we can do better. And had we done things just a little bit better Thursday night, it'd been a different story, I think.